Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to this information session, which has to do with the English taught bachelor program International Business Administration as offered by Rotterdam School of Management, Erasmus University. My name is Adrie Meidam. I work as Executive Director for the two bachelor programs that we offer. We have one in Dutch, Bedrijfskunde in Dutch, and the English taught one, International Business Administration. And today we will be meeting with a former student, someone who studied IBA. Just like you intended to do. Let me introduce her. Miruna, can you shortly tell us who you are?
Yes. Hi everyone. Hi Adrie. First of all, thank you for the opportunity of having me here today. Feels pretty strange to be back on campus after so many years, but I'm very excited and it brings back very good memories. About myself, my name is Miruna Carlugea and I'm originally from Romania. I came to the Netherlands 8 years ago. I took this courageous decision of coming abroad, studying here, and Rotterdam School of Management and the IBA program have been my main choice. So I've came here for my studies, and surprisingly enough, I actually stayed here. I'm currently employed. I work for Eastman, which is a specialty materials company. And I know Adrie is going to have a lot of questions today around what I'm doing after graduation. So I would like to mention that when it comes to my work experience, I'm going to be talking from my personal experience and not as a spokesperson or an official person from Eastman. So everything that I'm going to be sharing with you, it's my personal note to it.
Oh, that already sounds like a bit of a professional code of conduct. That's kind of order instructions for the company where you currently work?
We like to get our records straight, yes.
yeah, I can imagine. After all, we're all professional.
Yeah.
Well, I would suggest let's go a little bit through to what I call a life cycle. And let's start at the beginning, because as you said, you are a Romanian background. I don't know if you come from a big city or from rural areas. Where do you exactly come from?
So I'm going to make a joke. I'm a big city girl.
Yeah.
So I'm originally from Bucharest. So
okay.
I live in the capital city.
Yeah. And actually, I'm just curious because you lived there, and at a certain moment after secondary school, you ask yourself, what is my next step? Will I go to a school in my own country, or will I change countries, and where would I go? I'm just curious what kind of decision steps you made back then, and how you landed with us.
That's a very good question, because I think as we progress through our educational life, it's a step-by-step decision-making process. Mm-hmm. So for instance, when I was in secondary school, I already had to make a decision if I were to study more a social studies program in high school, or if I had to go for more of a informatics, mathematics program. And then the choice was for a mathematics background, because I knew that that's going to give me a wide spectrum of options when going to university.
You already realized back then?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Yeah.
And then, so that was my first choice. And then when I was in high school, then I've started to think, realizing that I was really horrible at chemistry, physics. So I knew that I was not gonna go for medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also thought about different options. I even considered architecture, but then geometry was not my forte either. So I made a conscious decision to go for a business education, because I thought that that's going to give me more open perspectives, and I had more options to choose afterwards.
Mm-hmm. So already before you would know where you would go to study, you knew what you would go study. So you decided at a rather early moment, already at high school, it should be a study in business.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that also had to do with the fact that my father was an engineer, so I had that image of what an engineer does. Mm-hmm. And then my mom was a businesswoman, so she had a career in human resources.
So you also had a bit of a role model at home.
Yes.
How nice is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, because you could have stayed in your own country, but obviously you've already considered at a rather early moment the option of studying abroad. How did that go?
That's actually quite nice to think now backwards, right? To think about it, because I was thinking that I can do much more, and I wanted to I don't know, like kind of spread my wings and like put myself to a bit of a challenge. And I thought that being in a more international environment is going to teach me skills that I would not really get if I stay home, right? So if I stay with the same people that are like me, that we speak the same language, that we come from the same culture. And I think somehow deep inside me, I thought, well, maybe things are going to change, and having that cultural experience and being exposed to multiple cultures is going to help me long term. I cannot say that back then I thought, oh, I'm never going to come back to Romania, but I knew that my intent was clear, that I wanted to go and study abroad.
Okay, and then the searching process started. I'm curious, how does it go? Are you sitting behind your laptop back then, typing in search words like good programs, affordable, well-ranked, international, or...
That's actually also like, that was also another process. It's very, you are unraveling a lot of like the past behaviors. So Netherlands was not my first choice.
Okay.
I wanted to go to the UK initially, but I was in that year when they've increased the tuition fees from £3,000 to £9,000.
Yeah, that pays well, huh?
And I didn't want to pay that money. I thought it's not worth it, that I can get the same education somewhere else. And then I've investigated other options. So that was the Scandinavian region. And then the second option was Netherlands. And the reason why I went to UK initially was that I want to be in a country where I can understand what people say around me. And that, I think, was quite courageous from my side to come to the Netherlands, not having a clue of the language. And in the end, I've only submitted application to universities here.
Yeah. So
and
really kind of narrowing down.
It was really like a funnel.
Yeah, I think that's very relevant for our international audience to hear this, because we're all in this phase now. They might know, well, it's going to be business, but the big question is where and for what reason, etc. Yeah.
One thing that I've learned was that here in the Netherlands, the education system is basically university and University of Applied Sciences. And when I was attending career fairs with universities back in Romania, those University of Applied Sciences were sold to us like that you're going to do very hands-on work. And only when I came here, I realized that actually it was a longer study, that you had to do 4 years, and it was not the same, at least for an international person. So I'm happy that I didn't fall into the trap of saying, oh, that's applied and I'm going to do so many hands-on, because I've done a lot of hands-on work here at university as well, and it's much better perceived to attend the university rather than the University of Applied Sciences.
Yeah, clear. Okay, you came to us, you did a bachelor program. Did you also do a master program at Rotterdam School of Management or elsewhere?
Sorry?
Did you also do a master program after your bachelor?
Yes, so I've chose to stay here with RSM. I've done a master in marketing management. And that was immediately after my graduation from the IBA.
So, okay, yeah. And your current job, what does it entail? What's your formal job description? What are you? What are you doing?
What am I? Well, I'm a lot of things. So I've started with, I think I'd like to give a bit of background of where I am within Eastman now, because after 4 years of studying, I've went directly to Eastman. So I'm already 4 years with them. And I've had already 3 different roles. So I've started as a graduate trainee. That was a 2-year rotational program. And then I've got employed full-time as a marketing representative for one of our businesses.
You're saying you started as a trainee. What exactly is a trainee?
So it's different than an internship. So you need to have a diploma in order to attend that traineeship program. And it gives you the chance to be exposed to multiple roles, multiple businesses, different functions, and also it gives you the great opportunity of having a network, because by switching roles every 6 months, you get exposed to so many people, so automatically your network and the people who see the results of your work is increasing.
Is it kind of a grand tour to the company, so to say?
Yes,
that you
exactly.
see a little bit of everything?
Yes, exactly. Or
and
at least that's
do
the
you
intention.
also need to start right at the bottom, at a very modest thing, or doesn't it work
No,
like that?
I was really impressed of how much trust people have put into me, and they gave me like quite big projects to manage. So that was really exciting, and that's also extremely motivating. So you don't start with filling invoices or like typing numbers into the system.
Could have been the case, yeah.
So people really see you as a talent, right? And they want to make sure that they see the best of you and they want you to succeed, and you have all the support necessary within the company.
Would you recommend future students to always go for a traineeship, just to make yourself familiar with how a company runs, or is it a loss of time?
No, it's definitely not a loss of time, and for me that was the focus. I wanted to do this because I didn't feel necessarily ready to make a choice that, I want to be in that marketing department, or I want to be, I don't know, in a product management department. So that really helped me. And I think it's a really good starting point.
Okay. And your daily task, so to say, what exactly are you dealing with?
Today, or when I was a traineeship?
No, at this moment. And then
at this moment. So today I'm market development manager for one of our businesses.
Market development manager.
Yes. Very fancy word, right?
Yeah, tell us.
So I work for the specialty plastics business, and I'm responsible for a segment which is called cosmetics and personal care packaging. And basically my role is to, it's going to sound very fancy, is to be responsible and accountable for all market-facing initiatives. So that means it's all about the strategy that we've put together for our business, and then ensuring that all our efforts are executed in the right manner within the region. It's also about bringing new products to the market, and also about customer interaction and customer-facing activities.
And when you talk about the region, what kind of region are we talking about?
For me, it's IMEA, so Europe, Middle East, and Africa, but with a focus mainly on Europe.
Okay, this usual abbreviation, IMEA?
EMEA.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So quite a territory, so to say.
Yes. But I think because of the market that we are in, it's with a bigger focus is within the Western Europe, I would say. And then in terms of my colleagues, I work a lot with the sales team, and also with the marketing communications team, but also with the technology team.
And going back to the very beginning, when you started your studies with this in IBA, did you already have some kind of a fixed idea where you would try to land up, what kind of segment or area you would like to work in, or has this gradually developed over studies? And I'm just curious.
So I told you, right, that my mom had a
career
in human resources. So I said, I want to do what my mom does. I want to work in human resources. It looks so exciting. I mean, I had no clue what her job entailed, but for me it looked she seemed very passionate about it. So I came here to IBA and I said, afterwards, I'm going to be this human resources manager, and it's going to be fascinating. I'm going to work with people. Disappointment 101 was that I really didn't like the human resources management course. So I was like, okay, that's not for me. And don't get me wrong, I like working with people, but like the content itself, I was like, nope, I'm out of here, folks.
So it was good that we had this course in the program. Yeah.
And then I went to do an exchange in Hong Kong, and I was able to do some more marketing courses that were not part of the curriculum that we had here. And then when I came back, I said, well, it's clear to me that seems where my passion lies, and that's where that's why I decided to do the marketing management master afterwards.
That was also the moment that you decided to do a master in marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The exchange in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Okay. That's good.
So everything is like little dots that get connected.
Yeah, but actually, what we more often see is when you proceed through the program, your ideas get more fixed, and you change with this direction, so kind of sort out. Because when you were in the marketing management master, you were pretty sure, marketing, that will be the future for me.
Yes, but I didn't, because what we are sold here in university is mainly B2C marketing, and I never thought that I was going to do B2B marketing.
You need to explain to the audience. I know what it is, B2C,
so
B2B.
B2C, it's about business to consumer, so direct advertisements, so think about the big brands like Unilever, and then B2B is when you do business to business marketing. And that's something that I didn't expect I was going to do. That was the aha, wow.
Yeah. And how did it exactly go? So towards the end of studies, you asked yourself, what is the job going to be after my graduation in the master?
Yes.
How did that go, that process?
It's interesting. So remember when I said I wanted to be in the UK for my studies?
Yeah.
Well, then I wanted to go work in the UK.
Okay.
So I had a lot of friends there. So it said, oh, it makes sense for me to go back to the big city life, go to London. And then I've started very, very early with the application. So I think was like this time around the year that I've started to apply for some graduate trainee programs in the UK simply because they had such a strict schedule. But somewhere while I was doing this application process, I've met my husband, so the man who's currently my husband, and something in my mind changed. So I've made a deliberate choice. I'm going to drop this whole UK dream, and I'm going to focus on staying here in the Netherlands. So
yeah, there are all kinds of things that might influence your career, your life path, so to say, and meeting your future partner. That's one of the risks you have when you study for 4 years in a certain country. Yeah,
yes.
I can understand that.
Yes.
So then you decided to stay in the Netherlands.
Yes, I decided to stay in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I cannot say that I'm very proficient in Dutch. I have conversational
I was just about
skills.
to ask, because rumor has it that it's difficult for someone from a non-Dutch background and who is not fluent in the Dutch language to get to a job in the Netherlands. Is that true?
Yes and no. I think the companies that want to get international talent, they will be very outspoken when they advertise their jobs. The companies that do not want to get people with, let's say, background that's not fully proficient in Dutch, then automatically you'd see that the job descriptions online are in Dutch. And those already go outside of the considerations set when you look for a job.
So you need to carefully watch as a student in a master. How are they advertising? What is their profile? How international are they? How vital is Dutch, etc. So yeah, that's an interesting lesson taught for future students.
Yeah, so I think if you have in mind to work for a certain type of company, it's good to investigate that profile, as you say. And then that also can dictate certain choices that you make, that you decide maybe to start early with studying Dutch.
Yeah. Your job, are you all on your own? Or are you working in a team? How does it work?
So I do not have a team that I directly manage, so I'm an individual contributor. But then I work in a cross-functional team, so I lead this cross-functional team in our efforts, as I've mentioned before.
So what does the team look like? Who is in?
So as I said before, I think people from sales, then technology, marketing, communication, pricing, so all sorts of different departments put together. And then, of course, there's the extended team, because I work a lot with also with my colleagues from North America or my colleagues from the Asia-Pacific region.
Yeah. And are all these people, do they also have a background in business studies, or are there different backgrounds?
Very different backgrounds. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of people who have a chemistry background or a technical background, but then somehow through life they were able to switch to more commercial roles as well. So it's very, very diverse.
And is that a challenge to work with people from different backgrounds, because you've been in, let's say, a business education environment for 4 years? So these type of people you know.
Yeah.
People with engineering backgrounds or other backgrounds might be strange for you, so to say. It might be more difficult to cooperate with, or is it not true?
I wouldn't say. I think we all have something to bring at the table, right? And I wouldn't be able to be good in my job if I wouldn't have had somebody from technology explaining to me certain, product characteristics. So we all can contribute in our unique way, and we all have a voice at the table.
Yeah. And your colleagues, that's a bit of a question to the heart. Do they think you are professional enough to be their speaking partner, so to say? Do you feel you have sufficient background to play a role in the company?
Is that more in touch of like, okay, you are very young?
No.
I think so. I think they see me as I mean, they can confirm, right? I hope that they are not watching this. I think they see me as a professional person, that I have a lot to bring at the table, but at the same time, we are all living a very fluid environment, so to say. So we are all now like in a learning phase, right? With everything that's happening with COVID and things like that. So we are all experiencing things that we've never experienced before. So we all need to show our versatility and adaptability.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, when you're in your current working environment and you look back at the program, are there certain courses of which you would say in retrospective, these were very useful courses for things I currently do?
I think the strategic business plan was very helpful, which is a course that we had to work with the company and we had to make a plan for them. So that was very good because you really go through the different parts of putting together a business, right? So you had all the financial, the marketing, the product part. So that, I think that was very, very helpful. And
what kind of a company did you make your strategic business plan for?
it was a hairdresser salon. So it was very, right, you can get all sorts of crazy companies, right, that you wouldn't have expected.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I was a teaching assistant for the strategic business plan course, and that also, like, seeing all those reports, you see how much variety of different companies is out there. So I think that was very helpful to at least maybe make myself more open-minded towards different opportunities and not be stuck into fact, oh, I want to do B2C and I'm going to say no to everything that's related to B2B.
Yeah. Strategic business plan, that's a first year course, huh?
Yeah.
And it requires group work. I think it's teams of 4 students.
Yeah.
Is that a challenge, or does everything go smooth?
No, we never, I mean, not even in work life.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So I think, we all had to learn how to work with each other, right? In that course, and we all had our own contributions and our strengths and weaknesses. And I think for us, throughout that process of building that strategic business plan, was about learning where a person's strength was lying and to use that to our advantage. And I mean, that's really like a big aha moment if you think about it. And that's also in the real work life, when you are outside of the university benches, that you also need to be able to work together and move. You know, if people have differences or different values, it's more about also like learning how to deal with that and how to work with them to your advantage. And at the end, to the common advantage of the company, right? Because we all work with the company in mind.
And I think within the IBA program, the additional challenge is that we have people with so many different backgrounds, different habits, different culture, etc. That poses an additional challenge, I guess.
Yes, and I think also in the beginning, for me, having had studied everything in Romanian before, I remember that was extremely difficult to grasp everything in English. And it was not a matter of me not being proficient in English, it was just that was an additional brain effort. And in the beginning, you had this tendency to translate it back to your own language. And it took a while to get rid of that feeling.
At a certain moment, you may start thinking in English.
Oh yes, I think in English now every day.
Yeah?
I think only counting is the only thing that I actually do in Romanian.
Yeah. We do have a course in which you are supposed to cooperate with students with an engineering background. That is the technology management in the second year in the second year.
I forgot about that one.
Is that useful after all?
I don't remember much. Is it bad?
Did it make a lasting impression though? Because actually you were supposed to meet up with at least 1 or 2 students from the Technical University Delft to work on a patent project, if I'm right.
Yeah, we did that. I remember now that you mention it. I think we worked well, but indeed there were certain differences. But I don't feel those differences in my work now. But yeah, that was an interesting course. It's funny that I didn't think about it. I think the strategic business plan course was more top of mind, also because I had the teaching assistant experience coming with it.
Yeah, I hear more often because as a bachelor program we've chosen for a broad approach. So everybody knows there's different functional areas in business, finance, marketing, accounting, human resources. We do a little bit of everything. That's a bit of the structure of the program. But of course we also need courses where they all come together. And I think the strategic business plan is the very first moment that this really happens. Yeah. That students have this kind of aha-erlebnis. Here it all comes together. We hear that more often. Have you considered entering the job market immediately after the bachelor, so without doing a master?
No.
Why not?
And I'm saying a very strong no here.
Yeah?
I really wanted to be done with my studies. I know there's a lot of people who really like to, continuously study, and they do programs also after they, when they are quite advanced in their career. But that was not appealing to me at that moment. I really wanted to say, okay, this has been a chunk of 4 years in my life. They are out now, and I can focus on something else. And I thought that for me it was going to be difficult to just do a year of work and then come back study. That I would not have that brain muscle trained anymore to do exams and assignments.
But actually skipping the entire master and just going to the labor market without a master, have you considered that?
No. But I think that's maybe a cultural thing, because in my opinion, you need to do a master. I don't know if it made a big difference in the recruitment process or not. But I know that when I got hired, they've asked me for the diploma. And I needed to actually show my diploma.
Yeah, and especially in the Netherlands, employers still very much want academics to have a master's degree as well. That I can confirm that. Yeah. What are your next steps in your career? Do you plan to stay with this company forever? Or do you want to change places? You want to change positions within the company?
So, as I've mentioned, I'm already at the third role, and I've been with the company for 4 years only. And I think that really tells a lot about the fact that there's so much opportunity to move around, right, and to do different things. I'm very happy with my current role now. I've started this role in June, right, so it's quite new also to me. So there's still a lot of things that I want to learn and get out of it and develop for myself. So at the moment, I'm very happy where I am. I like the company, I like the people, I like the different opportunities, as I've mentioned, and I like the B2B environment. I never thought I was going to say it, but I really enjoy it. And at the same time, the role that I am in today can take me different directions. So I can decide to stay more in this area of the strategic marketing, or I can go back to marketing communications if I would like to. I can go into more of a account management role, or I can do other things that are more in the commercial field, such as pricing or product management. So it's a very good place to shape certain choices later on. But for now, I'm here to stay, and I really enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah. And when you look back at the program in your current role, do you see certain courses that were absolutely no use, at least for your current position? And of course, this will differ from student to student, because you started a career in accounting, you will find the accounting courses very useful. Maybe you not.
So they were not my cup of tea, the finance courses. I actually failed the finance course, and I had to come back and retake the exam in summer, which is not cool if you are an international student that has to travel back and forth. So that costed my parents 200 euros for the plane. But I think having had those courses, it does help me now, because I have a bit of a feel for numbers, which maybe I wouldn't have had if I didn't do those courses. And there was a course, I don't even remember what it was about. It was called Quantitative Decision Making. I don't even know if it's still on the curriculum. I don't remember anything from it. All I remember was that we had an open book exam. And
I was just about to ask, how did you pass the exam then?
And I didn't know what an open book exam meant. Yeah. So my tip for you is don't go going through all your notes during the exam, because that's not going to take you anywhere. So
no, it will require quite more time than you will have for the exam.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Now we hear this more often. It's impossible that as a student you like all the courses we have in the program. We think it's important to be confronted with them, because you will meet them later on. You will meet the finance people, of course, the law people, and also this quantitative decision-making people. They are around. But actually our goal is more modest. We want our students to quickly find out if they are the right place. So for instance, when they finish the Introduction to Business course, when we deal with all the functional areas in business, students say, well, at least I like these and these topics, and then you know you're in the right program.
Yeah.
You can kind of prepare for your interest, taking your courses on exchange or for an internship, taking a master's and looking for a career.
And I agree with you. And at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, right? So you need to be exposed to all these little bits and pieces and go through the sorrow and pain of, oh my God, I need to pass corporate finance.
Yeah.
Because it does help you at the end to realize, okay, at least this is not for me. And I'm not going to go for waste my time and money on a master in finance.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know why.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
else does it, or my parents have done it, or things like that.
Yeah, and in the end, if you have 4 years' time to find out where your interests are, where your specialty is, where your strengths are, etc.
And believe me, like when I was in my studies, I didn't think like this, right? I think it comes with the experience and the reflection. If you look back to those years, the impact that those things have had on you.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned this, because there's also a bit of a common sense opinion on business students. Oh, they exactly know what they want. They want to go for the big money. So during their studies, they already have a clear goal in mind. Go to the big companies, earn a lot of money, drive a Porsche car, etc.
Yeah.
But that's not for all.
No. And I think I have colleagues now that have studied business, and they also say sometimes, well, I chose business because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
and I thought that the
yeah.
answer is going to lie in like taking a business study.
Yeah.
So it can also be the other way around.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. That's nice to hear. Yeah. Now, actually, there's time enough to find out where your interests and where your strengths are. Do you plan to stay in the Netherlands now, or
Yes.
move again at a certain moment? Have you ever considered going back to Romania?
We do think sometimes about it, and we know that we have our parents there, our family, but it's not on the list. So we don't want to go back. I think, we like the Netherlands. I mean, it's funny to say, right? I like the Netherlands, so I'm going to be very strong about it. Though you guys can be sometimes very weird, direct, do normal and things like that.
We're very Dutch, yes.
And the food might not be the best.
And
the
what about the weather?
is absolutely. It's also like one of the factors that sometimes takes people away. But I've learned to accept this culture, and I think I've made it my home. And I also see it to myself that it also helped shape part of who I am as well. Like if I look now. With my colleagues that we are from different cultures and countries, I do feel that I've took a bit of that Dutch directness, which maybe I wouldn't have had it if I would have stayed in Romania. So now I like it here, and I think people are open-minded, open to different cultures. One of the things is that I see to myself is that actually we don't have that many Dutch friends. So we somehow were able to stay in a more international circle. And I think that's maybe a bit more common.
Yeah. Looking back at the program now from your current job, your current environment, what in retrospective would you call the strengths of the program? What has really helped you?
The fact that it was so international, that we've had so many different cultures in the program. I think the teaching staff, excellent teaching staff, and of course the supporting staff. So IBA is backed by an amazing back office staff that is really there for you to support you also through the transition of coming from a foreign country to here. And that for me was very, very important to know that I have some friendly faces that I can reach out to without feeling the pressure, right? Because sometimes when you talk to your peers, they might be, oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you a bit like homesick? Everything is fine. Let's have a beer. Whereas with having a back office staff that can support you through those changes, and it's a change management curve, that was very helpful for me.
That's nice to hear. Yeah, of course, we know that IBA has a very large international intake. In this year, 70% of our first-year students was non-Dutch, so applied from abroad, and well, they're all in the same situation. They've left their home country and need to start from scratch, so to say. And I'm always impressed that young people make such a far-reaching decision at such a young age. We have students who are 17, 18. I can still remember how I was myself when I was that age, very local, very Dutch, very regional, so to say. And these young students make a step and will find themselves in a strange country, in a strange university, surrounded by strangers, and you still need to find your way. So I can imagine that some support is appreciated in this respect. Did the mentor program help in this respect as well?
Yes, and I think that was very good for me in the beginning, the fact that we've had that informal group of people that were meeting together on a I think it was a weekly basis, where we can share our concerns, and that you had a direct, let's say, mentor or coach to help guide you through the transition in the beginning. I think that was very powerful.
Yeah. I'm looking at our moderator to see if there are some questions from our audience.
I do have some questions.
There we go.
Let's go with the first one. So, is it common for IBA students to stay in the Netherlands after their studies?
I think from my colleagues, I think half-half. There's a lot of people who have stayed here, or there's also people who have moved back or to different countries. I think it really depends on what you are seeking.
Okay. Yeah, so and the language challenge is a challenge, of course. So, as you already explained to us, you should carefully look what the company, the employer, is looking for. Yeah. If he or she is open for internationals, that's key, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think they also picked up on the traineeship you followed. So why would you recommend a traineeship over an internship?
First of all, salary. For a traineeship, you get a more advantageous salary, like a kind of like a starting salary, whereas a traineeship here, it's not that well paid. And then because you get exposed to the different roles, whereas an internship, you'd only be stuck with one department only. Another thing is that for an internship, at least here in the Netherlands, you do need to be still a student at university and to pay that tuition fee in order to do that internship, whereas for a traineeship, you already are graduated, right? So you are ready to, to embark on this career journey.
Thank you.
And I think the next one would be, what extracurricular activities did you do besides IBA?
I'll shortly repeat the question. What kind of extracurricular activities did you do next to IBA? Or did you have time for that?
Yes, I did. So I actually did a lot of things around the IBA program, right? So Adri has mentioned the mentor program. So I was a mentor as well when I was in my second year. And then when I was in my master, I became the mentor coordinator, so that I was working directly with the mentors and coaching them and supporting them in the journey of them supporting their mentees. And I was a teaching assistant for the strategic business plan. Mm-hmm. I was part of the student representation. And then what else? I was also for a few months, I helped with the IBA office as a student assistant. And I think that's about it. And one thing that I've done that really helped me was when I was in my master program, we've had a group of exchange master students. So they were coming from their home universities, they were coming to Rotterdam, and they had this program called International Consultancy Project. And part of that program, I was not only their peer in ensuring that they get acquainted to the Rotterdam life, but then I was also working on a project with them. And that was on top of everything else that I was doing, because it came part of my first and second block of courses in my master. But it paid off because it gave me 15 credits, which then I could exchange, and I didn't have to do my last block of courses, and then I could focus on my master thesis. So while it was on top of everything else, it was really beneficial in the end, because I could save myself some time at the end.
When I listen to your preferences, they're all in some way related to the program. So it's very close to the program, TA, mentor, etc. Yeah. So that's typically you, I guess.
Yeah. That's what I would say as well.
Yeah. Nice. Do we have time for one last question? Because it's about time to finalize this session. I'm looking at our moderator.
Well, I think one that would be nice to close off would be, do you have any tips for people that are considering IBA?
Do you have any tips for people considering IBA? What should they take into account before they decide?
Wow, that's a good one.
Ah.
So I'm going to sound like a bit maybe cheesy or cliche, right? So we live in such a strange world today. We don't know what it looks like. And you guys are, I'm pretty sure you are very talented, people who are up to the challenge. And I think you should come here with an open mind, be tolerant, and be ready to be put to the test and be able to accept little failures, because those little failures, the fact that you fail a course for whatever reason, it doesn't mean anything, right? You have to learn from it, and it's going to teach you things that you might not realize today that would be beneficial long term. And then I think it's important, if you decide to come to IBA, that you make the best out of your time. There's time for everything, time for extracurricular activities. Adri used to call them all the activities with ing, so swimming, dancing, singing, drinking. There's time for everything. It's about balancing these things out and making sure that you have a certain type of focus and don't let yourself distracted. So I think I'm sounding like a grandma now, but
you're still young.
But that would be my advice.
I think this is a very nice one to close off with. So Miruna, thank you very much to making time for us on this Saturday morning to help future students making a good decision. Thank you for the audience for being with us. Don't forget to watch the general introduction on the IBA program, which you can find on the web pages of Erasmus University to find out more about the program. There's also special sessions with our students, Q&A taking place today, and also special sessions about admission and application. So take your chance. Again, thank you so much for being with us, and wish you wisdom in right decisions towards your next step. Thank you and have a nice day.